This is the Reflections podcast. My name is Annie. Join me as we journey around the world, talking with fellow reflectors as they experiment with their unique and beautiful design. Today's conversation is with Simone. Simone is a 1-3 reflector and the leading lady of the Aura Breather. It's a sacred space where she empowers others to step into their authentic selves using breathwork, human design, and other healing modalities. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you, girl. I'm so excited.
Thank you so very much for being here. So let's dive in, 1-3 reflector. I've seen you sort of around a little bit and I love following your journeys. But when did human design come into your life?
So I guess I didn't find human design. Human design found me through my sister in 2019, like October of 2019, so a couple of years ago. And it was a journey, let's say, okay? So my sister, she's a very spiritual lady. My whole family is, honestly. I have 3 older sisters. My oldest sister, she told me one day she called me crazily. She's like, I need you to look up what human design is, but first I need you to do your chart. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is this thing? And she was like, stop asking me questions and just do the thing, and then we can discuss after. So I was like, okay. I hung up, I looked it up, and I saw the chart, and I was like, okay, this is what it says. And she's like, I just knew it. I knew the year beginning of your reflector. And I was like, really? What does it mean? And she's like, still just do your own research. And I was like, okay, we know I love that. Before any of this, I was like, oh, we know I love looking things up. Let me look it up. And so I looked it up, and before I looked it up, I was kind of I searched a couple times to make sure it was supposed to be blank, because I was like, this doesn't look normal. This looks like there should be things happening in these empty spaces. So I was like, am I blind? I looked it up 6 different websites. I pulled Genetic Matrix, I pulled Jovian Archive. I was like, what is going on? Is it supposed to be empty? I'm stressed. And so then I fell down a rabbit hole of just researching it for 3 months. I was so deeply
right,
focused on it, and I was like, this is amazing. Okay, I love this. But I never felt like there was enough about reflectors in a deep way. There wasn't depth for me. It was just kind of you're unicorns and you're magical, which true, thank you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it didn't feel like I wanted something more. I was like, this doesn't feel enough. Yeah. But obviously in true first line, it's there needs to be more. There has to be more. There's always more. So I was just and long story short, that was kind of a blurb, but I didn't know what it was at first. And I feel even to this day, I'm learning more and more. I'm whoa, this is a very intricate and explosive system, and I'm obsessed with it. Every day I'm I think I know that. I'm here's 17 more things about this very small piece you didn't know. Yes. And it's so exciting and fun. I'm wait, I want more. And it's the perfect thing for us researchers. We're we want to do everything. So there's always more for me and you and all of us to find out. And it's so exciting.
It is so exciting. I love your enthusiasm with that, because I can relate to that feeling where you just think, I think I've got it now. And then you go, oh no, there's another 10 levels just on that one thing. And you just go, yes. And goodbye, world. Off you go. It is so good. So your sister introduced you to it. So what's your sister? Obviously, she knows what she is. What is she?
She's a 3-5 pure generator. We love that. So my mom is also a 3-5 pure generator.
Yeah.
And the 2 of them are just so different. Their charts are almost not completely, obviously, with the deeper levels, but when you just look at their charts, I think my sister the only difference is she has a defined spleen, but other than that, their charts are exactly the same. Wow. And I'm just whoa, this is hilarious, because you guys always have this kind of bickery, why don't you see what I'm saying? But you have the same perspective, so it's funny that you're somehow butting heads, and it's just so funny. But they're both also Libras. They just are so similar that I think sometimes it makes them butt heads because they're so similar. Yeah. So they can't they're with the 5th line projection field, they're I can't see this the same way. Are you projecting onto me or am I projecting onto you? Which one of us is doing it? Both of us? But I didn't learn that much about profile at first. I was kind of you're a generator. Does that mean you're just making me one more together? Which, yes, I can get so much more done and honestly eat a gallon of food when I'm around these people. myself probably could just like go the whole day without eating food. Like I don't even think about it. But like when I'm with these people, I'm like, whoa, like
Yes.
I need so much to keep up with you. It's like so funny. But I love it because I never probably would have found human design if she didn't tell me about it. I eventually
Right.
maybe would have, but like I wouldn't have all these like friends in this community and like even met you. And it's like so exciting because I'm like, whoa, like my life has changed drastically since then. Like that's, and it's so weird because like not like in the reality, not that much has actually changed. Yes. But like internally, so much has changed. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. And it's just the way you see life now, it just opens up. It just opens up so much, doesn't it? It opens up so much acceptance. It opens up so many different friendships. It opens up a world that you just go, holy crap, this is huge. It's really good. It is mind-blowing. Yeah.
I love it though. It's so fun.
And you didn't get into the profile, obviously, as you said, you sort of kind of looked into it and you went, okay, I'm a reflector, and I went down for 3 months, this rabbit hole. What were some of the things that you first did? Did you subscribe to any of the recommendations?
So at first I really was kind of just like obsessed with like specifically Erin Claire Jones because she was the first person that I feel like I saw stuff from. And I attended like all of her workshops and like done all those things. And then that's kind of what tipped off me being like, but I want to know like more. Like I wasn't finding like enough like detail or like enough things. And then I found like Emma Dunwoody, who has like the Human Design podcast, who I love. And I was like, wait, well, this is like more because her podcasts are like it's about so many different things. And I was like, whoa, like this is crack because we know. I mean, we'll get into that, but my conscious sun is in gate 13. I just love listening to things. Like I could listen to everybody's podcast all day. Like I don't have enough time to listen to all the podcasts I want to, but I could try. And so I fell down the rabbit hole of listening to her and kind of like trying to follow along and like do the PHS diet when she was doing it and like doing all these things. And like that's kind of where it all like kicked off. I didn't read the books until like the past winter that just passed. Like I didn't get any of the stuff until like more recently. But I think once I did, I was like, whoa, like I'm melting into all this exciting things. I have like stuff to read for the next like years. Like, because even if you read like the definitive text, like that book, you could keep reading that book. You could just keep coming back to it. You honestly probably could just live off of that book for like at least like a couple years. And then, because honestly, if you're looking for strategy authority first, if that's like really what you're trying to embody, everything else is also important, but it isn't like the base. That's what you need to. You need to have the foundation. But obviously, first line, I obviously need the foundation. Other people might do better. Like if you're a third, you might want to play around more. I'm very much like I want that first, and then I'm gonna fuck around. Like I don't need. I don't want to just jump in and be like, let me try that. Like no, I'm good. I want to like know what I'm jumping into.
It's so interesting you say that. Obviously, I'm a 5'1", but that is exactly the way that I went down. I'm like, I need to know everything. Right now. And that was the first book I bought. The first book is the like that you reading that going, what the hell is this? And you're like, this is like chemistry for a 7th grader learning grade 10 chemistry. But I was just like, I kept going back and forth, and I've got, even when I pull that book out, I've got all these little stick notes, and I'm like, oh really? I went,
mine's too far away. Hold on, I'm gonna get it.
Oh, you have to go and get yours. So
I have it right here.
Hold on, let me show you. Just something I carry on my person. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like an insane amount of like, I'm a crazy person.
But it's exactly what mine looks like. Thank you. We can compare all our books.
We really can. I have this one in front of me because I was looking up, because when you, on one of the questions, you said my moon gates, and I was like, honestly, like we'll get into it, but I didn't fall down the rabbit hole of gates yet, because honestly, I just haven't been like that interested in it. Like, I think they're interesting, but it's kind of like, I feel like I need to know everything else first. Yeah. I'll get there, because the gates are really important. Like, I'm not saying they're not, but like, I feel like I've fallen much more into like the kind of like environment and digestion and kind of like playing with those things more before really like deep diving into the gates, because there's so many, and there's like so many channels, and I'm like, oh my God, like this isn't feeling good to me anymore. Like I'm done. I'll come back to it when I feel like it. Haven't felt like it. Sometimes I like know certain ones that I feel like are interesting. Like obviously my conscious sun, I think is the most interesting. So I'm like, whoa. Because it felt like the most like, whoa, when I figured out like what it was, because it's like my life in a nutshell. But like I haven't been that lit up by really diving into the gate. So I'm kind of just like playing around with how that works. But It's on the top of my list.
It's like enjoying the journey, isn't it? It's just like enjoying the journey. I had a friend yesterday, we were sitting there and she showed me something and she said, this person's doing this, have a look at their chart. Do you know what yours is compared to this? And I went, oh yeah, I've got that gate, that gate, that gate. She goes, how do you know that off the top of your head? And I went, literally, because I know, because I study it. She goes, oh, I don't have time for that. And I went, that's okay, because you don't have to. You're just, that's just me. That's just me living my design because it makes me happy to go down those holes of research and stuff. Oh, I love it. Now, another unique thing about you, and obviously you're unique as you are, but you're a quad. Can we talk about your quad right? Because I find that really fascinating. I have 3, but you've got 4.
Ooh. Honestly, I feel that learning this, so like we said, I've been playing with like the variables and stuff, but I never really like zoom out and like look at them all like together.
Yeah.
And so when I found Brayton, which I'm sure you've seen his stuff, maybe you haven't,
he's
a quad right projector. And whenever like I see his content, I'm just like, yes, like I feel seen, which is like so funny because obviously like we're feeling into the both being seen by each other situation. But he had a like a receptive mind, like empowerment class that I took. And I feel like nothing has made more sense in my entire life after that class. I was like, whoa, like this is why I am the way I am. Like this is why I could sit here. Like when you wrote the questions, I like wrote little things to say. And I was like, but if I try to read that, my brain will shut off. Like I can't like over prepare, which as you look at my chart, I'm sure you can see, I literally have so many things that are about like being anal and being detailed. And it's like, how are these things working with also being so receptive and so like not strategic at all? Like how are these things mixing? Like it's always a battle between my moon in 48. Like I need that detail. I need that like getting deeper in that depth. But then at the same time, it's like, but I don't actually just do anything. Like I can just sit here and observe all of this and absorb it. Like I don't actually physically need to do anything to absorb that information. And like learning that about myself has been so liberating because in college, I took like 6 to 7 classes a semester. I was a psychopath. Oh, wow. Like I was literally just like so engulfed in like school because I loved it that I was like never studying for tests. Like I had to, every time I would study for a test, I would do very bad on the test. Like if I just went in, I would do great. If I was like, let me sit here and cram, I would be like, I don't even know. Like I don't even know what I don't know. Like I can't do this. And it's like so funny because learning that like as a quad right, I'm a future oriented person. I'm very like flow and all these things. Whenever I try to like really structure things, the whole world like crumbles. I'm like, I can't do it. Because then I get mad at myself for not like living up to this weird structured schedule that I built for myself.
Yeah.
What, girl? Like what? So now my calendar is very like, here are the 6 hours that I can work and I will take 2 sessions in those 6 hours. Yeah. I'm not like structuring my life like that because I can't. You guys don't want to. Because what if I don't want to? What if I want to like have a 4-hour lunch? Like I'm going to.
That's so good. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, I think most people would, but these are the 4 arrows when you do your chart. These are the 4 arrows that sit. And if they go left, so they go left or they go right. And so there's 16 variables. They're called the variables. And they refer to digestion, environment, awareness, perception. Anyway, so if they go left, I'm saying this very crudely, so I apologize to any, if they go left, it generally means a more active role in those 4. And if they go right, it's more of a passive, more of a fluidity. There's so much more to it than that, but I'm just dumbing it down. So Simone has them all going right. So her profile and her design is very, very open, very passive. And it makes sense for a healer and somebody who's in that. That's how I read it anyway. I was just like, wow, it makes total sense.
It's funny because so like my nephew, I have like a bunch of nieces and nephews now, but like one of my sisters, one who's closest to my age, her son is a quad right self-projected projector. And I've literally never seen a human being so living their design in my entire life. Like in my entire life. He's 6, but he's literally like I've just never seen somebody literally just like talking to figure out their life. He's just like, do I want that for lunch? I don't know if I want that for lunch. Here's a story about why I don't want that for lunch. And I'm just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And he's also like nervous touch. So he's very like, he needs to be moving around and doing things when he's eating. And it's like so funny because like learning this, I told my sister about it and she's like, yeah, this is like so exciting because I can give him that like invitation to fully just do whatever he wants to do. Like I don't need to tell him to sit down if he doesn't want to. And it's like just so exciting to see like the person with no conditioning like existing. And then to see like if that will continue as he gets older, it's like so exciting. I'm so excited for it. I'm like, oh, this is so fun.
So are all your sisters, you said you had 3 sisters, and this is obviously the sister that got you into it. So is she?
No, this isn't that sister.
Oh, this is
my oldest sister. I know. It's so fun. So my oldest sister is a 3-5 pure generator.
Yeah.
Then the sister right below her is a 1-3 splenic projector. And then the one right above me, which is after her, I'm the youngest, after her is also a 1-3, but she's an emotional MG with like everything defined except for her spleen.
Yeah.
So it's an adventure. Yeah. So she's quad left, my sister, and he's quad right. So it's very interesting to see the parent-child dynamic because like they're so great. They're just like so perfectly like almost exact opposites, but mesh so well because obviously like it's
and they're all into human
beautiful
design.
Binary.
They're all into it. They're all so wow.
Well, the ones who weren't into it, I very much have been like, this is it. And we're all going to be obsessed with this now. Thank you.
It's it. So, welcome to the family cult.
Literally. I mean, yeah, my parents are into it now too. My dad a little bit more because like he's projector too. So he was very like, oh, this is so interesting. I feel so seen. And I'm like, yes, because you're recognized and I love it. And my mom was like, oh, that's like pretty cracked for me. Like, thank you. And I was like, I know. So it's very interesting.
Mom was a pure generator at 3-5, isn't she?
My mom's also a 3-5 pure generator. But she, ironically, right? So she has the right angle cross to the best of love. And me and her both have like those beautiful like G center incarnation crosses. And I feel like they bob and weave so well together because like she has obviously a defined G, but my center is like I almost have every single gate in my G center. So it's like very interesting to like not feel like I need to have this purpose and need to do all these things because it's like my chart is so like every time I'm with another person, it's most likely going to be lit up somehow. And it's always like, but I don't actually need to know what I'm doing. But that, like when I'm by myself, one time I'm like, do I know? Like, I feel like this is what I want to do. And then I'm by myself, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, what are we talking about? I don't want to do that timeline at all. Like, I don't want to wear that thing. I don't want to do that thing. And it's like so funny to just like, once you remove yourself from any of the energy to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. So thank you so much. But no.
I love that. I love just that stepping back. Someone I was talking to recently said that literally instead of retreating, just stepping back, like actually just literally taking a few steps back and then going, oh, okay, there I am again. You know, when you're uncertain. I find this so fascinating that your whole family is involved and such a big family at that. So I can imagine family dinners are quite interesting. And you've probably had a lot of chats where your parents, because they're so invested or so interested in it now, have said, oh, that makes sense of why that happened. Or you kids can all sit around and go, oh, yeah, that was why you pissed me off at all. Do you have these conversations about your journey where you are now?
So yes. So a lot of so my family doesn't necessarily like do those things. They usually are like asking me, like, am I doing that thing because of this thing? Like my dad, I think, is a very good example. So I'm currently living at his house while I'm like working at the school I used to go to. And he's an emotional projector, right? A 4-6. We love it. And like, I think that like me finding human design has been like in an extremely enough way, like also very healing for him. Like just the experience of me kind of like teaching him these things, that like all these things are correct for you. Like when you're not being noticed at work, yes, you're going to get bitter. That's completely normal. Like when somebody asks for your advice and doesn't follow it, yes, you get bitter. That's normal. Like all these things, like you're not being recognized, you're going to get pissed off. Like it's meant to happen. You're going to feel resentful by these things. And he's like, oh, so like there's nothing wrong with me then. And I'm like, no, this is like completely correct. And this is like so exciting. He's like, wow, it's like a really big permission slip. And I'm like, I know, like, let's lean into that. Most people who have emotional authority, I feel like I relate to the best because we have the closest, like waiting. We are waiting for time. Yeah. However, theirs might be like a day or two. Ours is obviously longer, but like we can kind of understand each other because we're both meant to like ride the wave of our entire experience before we make a decision. And like him learning that has been like, I think exciting. Oh, my sibling, my sister who's emotional, like her partner who is, my cousin who is, my aunt who is, like all these people, me like kind of telling that has been like, whoa, like, so me wanting to do this thing today, but not wanting to do it tomorrow as normal. I'm like, yes, like that's how you come to decisions. That's how you're meant to feel into things. So it's like, it makes me really happy when they're like very into it. Cause I'm like, yes, like own it, take that, claim that. And I love it.
That's so good that they come to you for that too, because, you know, you can get the older generations, and I mean all respect in saying this, but generally they can be a little bit stubborn and they don't want to look at stuff like that. So being able to go, is this normal, to somebody, obviously their daughter, and listen and go, oh, this is good. It's so healing. It's so healing for them. I can imagine that was just like, oh, I'm being seen, and however old they are at this later period. Pardon?
I said, even my grandmother, she's a splenic projector. And I feel like her learning that about her, I mean, sharing these, like, I think the thing with her is she's like in her 80s, her and my papa both are. And then learning theirs, you're like, yeah, that's just like how I am. Like, that's just me. And I'm like, right. Like, you are so on point for what you are. Like, I'm so happy you're noticing this. It's just like so funny. Because I didn't have to tell them theirs. They would have been like completely fine whether I did, because they don't like, they're not that into it. But like, it's funny because they're so living their design without having to do anything at all. And I'm just like, I love that. Like, I can't wait to be that deconditioned to just like exist in the world. Like, just existing.
You know, I had a thought about this, and I can't believe I'm going to say this on a recording, but I had a thought about this. And it's just like when I talk to older people about this, generally 70 up, and I run that chart roughly, because generally they don't necessarily know what second to the second or minute that they were born, but they know roughly. So you can generally pick it up anyway. But they say, yeah, I've just always known that. And I think because life was always more honoring who you are in a less busy environment, whereas it's interesting that human design came out when it did, when life just started to really ramp up and people started to lose themselves because they're constantly in this state of flux. But yeah, so I think that's one thing. But generally the older generation, it's just, I know that. Yeah, that's just exactly how it was for me. Find it fascinating. So I think that obviously everything comes to us that we need, and this teaching came to us when we needed it, and now we're helping people go, we can slow down again. We can be who we are again. You've just got to remember. What do you think about that?
I think it's so easy once you allow yourself to receive it, because I feel like for the past year, which is kind of why I also started doing breathwork, which we'll get to, I'm sure, but like, I always had this like wall of being like the giver and doing these things and like always pushing out way more than I'm ever getting. Because obviously as a reflector, I'm obviously always receiving things, whether or not like I'm choosing to, but like I always had a very hard wall of like not really like accepting love, or not really like accepting help, or not even asking for help. Like, even if I didn't have to ask, somebody's like, do you need help? I'd be like, no. Even if I didn't know what I was doing, I'd be like, no, I'm good. I got it. Like, I'm all set. Psh, no, thanks. And kind of like leaning into like, I have all the healing within me. I just need the space to do it, whether it's by myself or with you or with whoever. Like, being able to just like really get comfortable with the fact that getting through that might be really uncomfortable, and kind of knowing in my heart that like, I know what's best for me. Like, in my heart, I know that I will get to the goal of whatever it is. If it's unconditional love, if it's healing this specific thing, or whatever it is, just like being deeply rooted in like receiving what I meant to, and not being afraid of like anything coming up. And if it does, I can breathe into it and release it, or work through it, or whatever the thing is that I'm doing. But like, really being aware of, you don't need to do anything to receive. You can just be. You can just sit there and just accept. Just let it come into you, be given to you, be radiated into you, whatever. It's so, I feel like, heartwarming, and also like so easy. But like, we don't look at it that way. We look at like we have to do something to receive something, when it's like, no, we can always be receiving. We don't need to do anything to receive. And I feel like that's a big part of my work, is like, I understand it's really hard to just like let people love you. Like, it's hard, but it's also really easy. It's hard because we're making it harder, because we've had the conditioning that like we're not loved, or that we don't love ourselves, or whatever the story is. But like, when you just sit there and like let somebody look at you and like just give you like their attention, you're receiving it. You're letting yourself do it. It's just
Yes.
really hard to get to that point though. And I
Yeah.
understand people, like, I'm here with you. We've been through this. Still sometimes I'm like, I'm noticing some resistance here. Like, what is that? Like, because now I'm
Yeah.
like brave enough to kind of be like, what is it? Like, why is this happening? How do I work through this? Like, what do I need to do?
We
Sometimes it's
really
really
do
nothing. I just need to sit there.
overcomplicate it. We
Yeah,
really
sometimes
do.
you need to sit there. You're gonna sit there, like, cry, and it's over. Like, it's
So,
gone. The block is released because you just needed to let it out, which is so hard. But
so did you,
whatever.
you went through your journey finding out with human design that you're a reflector. You went through that journey. Did that spur you on then to get into breath work because you were needing to release things? Or talk to me about how you became a breath worker, because I know there's a story here. Let's go.
Girl, let's go. So I actually didn't discover breath work until last year. So I discovered human design in 2019. Loved it. It was a great time. Then in 2020, obviously the pandemic struck. Life became like a chaotic mess. Because obviously for us reflectors and everyone else who has open centers, like, the world became very, very heavy and very like tense. And I was having like really bad anxiety attacks all the time. Like, I didn't know why. Like, I had no control over what was happening. Probably more panic attacks than anxiety attacks. But either way, like, I was just overwhelmed all the time and had no reason why it was happening. I was like, nothing personally is happening that this should be happening so much. So then I had started doing talk therapy. And while doing that, one of my friends at the time, he still is, but he doesn't practice as much, is a breathwork facilitator. I met him in like an online community that was created during the pandemic. So it was like this beautiful, like, cosmic, somehow we met each other, and like, he's also quad right. And it's just like so funny that this thing like created. And I started doing breathwork with him. He started facilitating one-on-ones, and his wife, his name's Abdul, her name's Anna. I like literally feel like a lot of my journey is like indebted to them because they kind of showed me all these amazing things. She did like this amazing like mindfulness coaching, and he did this breath work, and I like did it with them for like a month. And it was like the most life-changing experience of my life. Like, I was just like, whoa. Like, obviously like regular therapy was like helpful too, but like, because that's more of just a space for me to have a soundboard. Like, I wasn't going in for like really advice or like really tools. Like, obviously I like tools, but like, I was more just like, I needed a space to fucking talk, like, with
Yeah.
no boundary of like what I was saying. I just needed to like speak, because
Yeah.
a lot of this was things that were just happening around me that I didn't know how to process. I was like, I don't know why everyone is getting sick and why everyone is mad all the time, why everyone's losing their jobs. I don't know, but it's not me. Like, I'm not stressed out personally about these things. Like,
Yeah.
obviously I am because everyone else is, but like, I'm personally like, could be better, but like also not terrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, whatever. And so then I kind of then found, like, I continued doing breathwork with him, and then I started doing like group breathwork sessions with like this other company. And then this March, I was like, I want to like help other people because it helped my anxiety. Like, I was like thriving and still am, but like, I was doing very, very, like, I was top notch thriving as a reflector. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, nothing can touch me. I'm just sampling everything. Like, oof, 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 oof. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
And, but I think it's also because it engages your throat chakra, and my throat is completely open. I have
Oh,
nothing
wow.
happening. And so I always feel like I find a lot of resistance there. Like, whether it's like me not feeling comfortable talking, like, I always think I have something stuck in my throat. And like, kind of working through that while like doing the primal screams or like doing the breath holds or like whatever it was, really like kind of ignited that. And it was
Yeah.
like the most exciting thing ever. And then I
Yeah.
found that I was like, I want to share this with people. Like, how do I do it? And I would like look up like companies that do certifications like here and there, because obviously the Lemon perpetually thinks it needs all these degrees. Obviously, like, we need more. We need more proof that we can do these things, right? Like,
Yeah.
we need more. There's always more. And so I was like, perfect. Like, let's get it. And so I found a company called Revolution Breathwork. I got certified with them. It was like, so they have like three learning, like, what is the word? Like, three different,
Levels?
I guess, tiers. Yeah, levels.
Oh,
Thank
yep.
you. Yes, levels. So the first level is like one-on-ones. You learn how to like facilitate a one-on-one session, and like all the basically like premise of what you're doing and like all these things, the guidelines. Then level 2 is when you get certified, and it's about like holding space for groups and partners. And that was like, as a reflector, we're like basically built to hold space for a group.
Yeah.
And so I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, like, this is my favorite thing ever. I was like, what? I was obsessed. Like, I was like, oh my God, I need to do this forever. And so then, like, since March, I've been certified, and I'm just like obsessed with it, because I think that using your human design chart, like, me, even if we don't touch it, me knowing what yours is
Yeah.
helps me hold space for you a lot more. Because I might, when we come together, I might like turn on your third chakra. Like, who knows, like what our connection will be. And I think it's really mindful as anybody who does this work to know how you're impacting each other. And I think not enough people discuss that. Like they kind of just pull up their chart and tell them about it. And it's like, but what am I giving to you? What are you giving to me? How are we connecting? So that way, when we start this, we're starting from a place of like clear awareness that like, I might be turning on your solar plexus. So maybe we'll have like a deep feeling moment. Like, who knows? Like, I don't know. But like, it's very interesting to be mindful of how you're going to be working together.
I love that you said that. That's really important.
It's my favorite thing. Yeah. Especially in a breathwork session where it's like a lot of emotions and feelings and things are going to come up. And I want to know how to best hold space for you. Cause like, say for example, I turn on your spleen, like we turn on your spleen together. That might be like a really scary moment for you. You might be like, what the fuck? Like all these fears that I had that I already had are now like rising because like it's on. So I'm very aware of them now. Like now,
and are you using the transits as well with that? Like watching what's happening in the transits? If you're really...
sometimes, for the most part, I usually just like look up our connection chart to see like what's going to be like, and then I pull it up the day of to see kind of like what is the energy today for me? Like how is it impacting me? How is it impacting you? So yeah, I guess kind of. But for the most part, I just like to see what the situation is going to be like with us because I'm like. So, because I very much am aware of at the beginning, I'm like, this is what this is going to be like today. I just want you to know, like, before we do anything, there might be a little bit more of this today. There might be a little bit more of this today. Like, who knows? But I just want us to be very clear before we set our intentions for today that this might be a thing that comes up, like, just so we're all on the same page.
That is fascinating. I wonder, I wonder if, you know, if they're going through something and their goals are to achieve whatever. And I'm really going off on a tangent here, but if their goals are to achieve something and you've got this client, whether or not you could look at what's incoming in the transit and make sure you are in a more primed position to be able to support them for their goals.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't really thought about that part specifically because I do know that like the week before like my monthly period begins or whatever we would call that, I am like in very rare form. Like usually a channel transitorianess is on. I'm just like, I am not going to be like the greatest vessel for you right now. Like not the whole week, but usually like I know very specific. I just found out yesterday about like the genetic matrix, like a lunar transit thing. And I feel like I don't know how I've existed this whole time without it. So I don't know. I think that might be more life-changing now because I can actually physically see the entire month ahead of me without having to do anything.
As you were saying before, it's just like, just when you think you're kind of good, something else comes up and you're like, oh God, I got to like learn that now. Yeah. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
I was like, genetic matrix did what? I was like, hold on, let me find that. It took me like 45 minutes to even find it because I feel like I was expecting it to be where all the chart things are, but instead it was like in the calendar and like whoever knew you could click on the calendar, not me. So I was like, I was like, there's so many things here.
That's what I said to you before. I said, I've got this tab up here and I don't know what I was doing with it. That's exactly what that tab was. It was the genetic matrix calendar.
It's the best.
Anyway, clearly I was stalking people.
Why not, honestly?
So yeah, this breathwork. So the aura breather, I really love that name. And I know there's a story around where this name came. And I mean, for most of us, we kind of get it, but please, come on. Share.
You want to know? Okay. So, I mean, it might not be that exciting for everyone else, but I thought it was exciting. So when I found human design after I went through my like obsession with Erin Claire Jones and did all that, and then I fell into my Emma Dunwoody hole, me and her had like a connection call. I was on one of her podcast episodes about reflectors too. And before we had that call, we had like a 30-minute or something like that call just to like meet each other. And she was like looking at my chart and talking about it. And she was like, so my cognition, I don't know if everybody knows what that is basically like the strongest sense that you have in your chart. Like it might be however you experience things. Mine is feeling cognition. And she was basically like, you're a literal aura breather. And I was like, wait, I love that. Like, what do you mean? Like, then she explained it more. And I was like, wait, I'm obsessed. Like, I'm writing that down. I'm going to come back to that for like a podcast or something. I didn't know exactly what I was going to feel about it. And then she continued telling me like, obviously with feeling cognitions and my son in K13, a lot of people, this is just something that happens to me all the time. I could be sitting here, like just drinking my coffee, or I don't drink coffee, but whatever, just having my beverage at a restaurant or cafe or whatever. And like at least two people while I'm sitting there will walk up to me and be like, you look really familiar. And they will sit down and like continue to talk to me and like tell me about their life, or like tell me really intimate details about their life. And I'll be like, okay, like, I'm Simone, nice to meet you. Like, I don't even know your name and you're just like telling me your life, which is awesome. Like, I like it, but it's also like very shocking. At first, I'm used to it now, but at first I was like, do I seem like inviting? Like, I'm just sitting here, like enjoying my time on my computer and doing things. And now you're sitting here and I feel rude not listening to you. So now I'm like, okay, let me close this. Like, you have my attention.
Tell me about
like,
you.
It's like forced interaction. But like with all these things combining, she was talking about how like, that's basically exactly what my design is meant to be. Like, I'm meant to just be like taking in everybody's stuff and playing with it and like kind of like taking it in and breathing it in, or whatever she was using. And I was like, wait, I'm obsessed with that title. And ever since then I was like, I'm using it. I don't know how. And then I built my website back in like, I want to say maybe like April, like right around when I was finishing my breathwork. And so I finished it.
Yeah.
And I changed like 16 designs since then. Because that, you know, that 48 always wants to be tweaking things and playing around. So that, but like, but of course. And then my quad right is like, I can't focus on this for longer than like 5 minutes. So I'm going to open 15 tabs in this like 20-minute time period that I have to do this. And I'll be like, let me focus on this one thing. So then I do like one slide and then I'm like so intense and I'm like, oh, my eyes glaze over and I forget what I was even doing. And I'm like, let me go to a different tab. Like, I can't focus on like a thing for that long. I need to have like multiple things going on. Like if I'm typing something, I need to have like a show playing or a podcast playing. Like I can't just sit here in silence and focus on like typing something or doing anything. Like my brain just like physically will like shut down. I'll be like, no,
so
we're not.
Breathing is really good for you.
Right. Because it's active breathing. So it's kind of just like, I can be doing something. I'm not just sitting there. Like there's also usually music playing and it's like a whole ordeal. It's so fun. So it's way more, I think it's really good for both quads left and quads right, everyone in between. Yeah. Because quad lefts, I have that active, they want to be doing that. So it works for them. And then the quad rights are very like, oh, I can focus on this song. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. Like during this whole like hour-long time, like so many things have come up that it's like, I've already taken in all the healing. Like I don't even need to do the rest of this. Like, I'm good. Like whatever, like whatever the thing is. Because like obviously everyone's gonna have a different experience. But I think that what were we even talking about? Oh my god, I totally think I got off track. Either way,
your aura
going back to the point, and I realized after I was like, this is not the point. Either way, I was obsessed with it when Emma Dunwoody said it, and ever since then, it's like been my title. I've self-titled. It wasn't self-titled because she said it to me, so it was given to me. It was bestowed upon me, and
exactly.
It was. And then from then on, I was like, I'm obsessed.
Chosen.
Exactly, and I'm just like, it felt very correct for me, and I'm like, yes. So,
I love that you've included like human design into breathwork, and you know, on your Instagram, you talk about the open throat and how you breathe through, and you talk about the head centers and stuff like that. So it's just such a beautiful blending of modalities to help people go through there. And I love that you also focus on that deconditioning process, because sometimes that trapped emotion and stuff really needs to be released. What a beautiful way to do it.
Agreed. I'm there with you. It's so fun. I mean, obviously it's not always fun. But it is very, but I think that like at the end of the day, like even if it's really heavy and hard, it ends on like a better note. Like even if that day it's really heavy, you to just like go to bed and like kind of, because breathwork is, I think people don't talk enough about how much energy it actually takes out of you. Like by the end, you will probably literally want to go to sleep. Like you won't, I mean, some people are really energized. Like sometimes when I do it, I could be energized depending on like time of day and stuff. But like if I do it at night, if I did it right now, I would immediately pass out after. Like literally once I passed out during a session because I was literally just like so in bliss. Like that when it came to like the rest music, I was like, oh yeah. And I woke up and I was like, wait, I forgot to write down what happened. So I wrote it down when I woke up. But like
you just got shut down ways to heal. It's like exactly. They shut you down.
We're rebooting. Exactly. Reboot. Hold on. It might take 10 to 12 hours. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I love it so much. And I feel like that's the thing is like, since I've had such like deep healing and like kind of just like reconnecting with myself, whether it's been like good, bad, heavy, emotional, whatever, it always kind of leads back to like, I'm amazing. Like, not even like humble brag, but like I notice that about myself now. I think a lot of the time, especially people like me, I don't know if you also have a completely open heart center, but like connecting to your self-worth is really hard when you are always being told like you need to wait for this thing or you need to be tweaking these things all the time or you need to be doing this. Like there's never enough. It's never enough. Whether you're not enough isn't true, but what you do is never enough, like to the eyes of whoever. So kind of coming back to like, no, like me existing is enough. Me breathing right now is enough. And it's like so simple, but so never talked about. It's like healing can actually be as simple as just receiving the breath, just allowing yourself to literally settle into whatever breathing like method or amount of time or how fast, whatever it is. Cause I don't really force like breathe faster or do this thing to people. Like it's your experience. I that's kind of the thing that we're taught too, that like, this is not my experience. This is your experience. I'm holding space for it. And so whatever needs to come up for you, I will hold space for. I'm not going to be telling you to do anything other than what is right for you. So if you need to slow down and breathing, do it. Like this space is for you. If you don't feel comfortable doing breathing, we can just sit here. Like, I don't care. Like, this is your time. Like, I am not having my ego involved. Like, I'm not telling you what needs to be done. I'm not going to feel bad if you don't like this song choice. Like, it's not about me at all. I feel like a lot of people get too involved.
I'd love to experience that. It's just when I connected with you and I looked into it, I'm just like, I've never looked at doing the centers through a breathing capacity. So you were saying that your throat center is completely open. You have no gates in there whatsoever, whereas I have 6. So I have 6 gates in my throat. And just listening to you talk about that, I'm like, you know what, I could probably benefit from something like that, which I'd never thought about before. But my G center is completely open. I have no gates whatsoever. So, you know, my identity.
Oh my God, girl.
Makes
we
sense.
Swap. We swap. I have 6 in my G center. Look at us.
It's and I know that comes out a lot. So it's like such a healing, such a gift. So I can't wait to read more and know more. So please share how we can get in touch with you to work with you in this capacity, because it's something I've not come across before, and I'm very keen.
I'm excited. So my website is theaurabreather.com. Pretty easy to type that into Google or whatever you use, and it will pop up. I mean, not to say I'm the first, but I'm the first email will pop up. That's a sidebar. But so on my website, I offer like one-on-one sessions for breathwork. I do a 45-minute one and an hour and 15-minute one. And then I do I call it a transitional phase package. So it's like 4 sessions. It's a bundle that's like meant to be used for like any time where like you're going through a big transition, whether it's like a new job or like a relationship or whatever it is. Honestly, I just titled it that way. You can use it for whatever you want. If you want a more consistent, like, you have those 4 days. And then I have partnership sessions, which it could be for you and your one partner. I also open to like non-monogamous, like whatever you are. I'm not here to tell you who you should be dating or whatever your life is. And so that's maximum like 3 people. I don't need to be holding space for 4 people. At that point, it's an entire group. So like, let's not get crazy, but up to 3 people in the partnership sessions. And then, girl, I just opened up for December 2 bi-weekly. So like Saturday and Sunday of December bi-weekly for non-sacral breathwork groups, up to 20 people, and then sacral breathwork groups for generators and manifesting generators. And I'm very excited for those. It's $30. It's nothing crazy. It's like the lowest price point, because I think I want people to be able to attend if they feel called to, and not have to kind of pay for the one-on-one if they're not sure if it's for them or whatever your situation is. I'm also open to like, if people can't afford it, I'm open to talking. We can figure it out, whatever. Because I don't think this is something that needs to be like behind a paywall, but obviously a girl's got to eat, so let's not go crazy.
That's right. But you got to honor your energy. You've got to honor your time.
Exactly. I'm very aware of my open heart, but I also am like have a heart, so therefore like I'm here for you if you need to like something, we can work it out. And then, girl, my one human design offering, because like we gotta have one, right? Is I call them Thrive Guides. So, which on brand. It's like a 50-page like Google Slides presentation on your chart. So it has like your type, your strategy, like where you have on track, off track, where like your signposts, all of your centers, what they are, and like what yours are. And then your variables, like obviously left and right, but then also like your environment, your digestion. Because I think that those things are weirdly behind a paywall too. And I get it. It's definitely not the first thing we suggest like diving into, but I think it's mindful to know, like you don't have to play with them. Because at the beginning, I have a very clear, like, this is just a gigantic like study guide on yourself. You're not meant to like absorb this all and need to play with it all right now. It's very much like you will have this forever. So
you
like
just keep coming back to
take
it when
what
you
want and play with it. Yeah, exactly. Experiment with it. And then I have EFT tapping and affirmations for like certain sections because a girl's got to heal as well. You know, a boy, whoever, a woman, a lady, whoever, we all need to heal.
I love the affirmations in that as well. I love the affirmations in the EFT. And again, combining modalities into a beautiful chart. It's amazing. Good on you. Good on you for being a creative to be able to just go musing. And you know what? That's what we need. We need more of this going. Fuck the normal way of doing shit where it's always this way. Let's go multimodality. Let's bring it in. Let's bring this in. Let's bring it all in and let's just amplify. Exactly. I love that.
Because what's helped me. So it's like, if this has helped me heal, why would I not share all the things that I know? Like, what do I have to lose? Like, I'm excited to be able to like share this with my community, with everyone who's listening to this, with everyone I know, because it's been so liberating for me. I'm like, if I can be empowered by this, like, hell yes, I want you to do, obviously not do exactly the same thing, but do the thing however it works for you. And I'm excited to watch it. Whether or not I'm part of it, I'm excited to observe it.
As reflectors, it's an ongoing stream of ideas and new things. It's just like sometimes, I don't know if you feel this, but we feel like, oh, you know, this is my thing. And you get into it and then other people will start doing it and you're like, okay, I've got to move on now. I'll do this next thing. And it's constantly, we are literally so open that these ideas just come and we don't always have to do them. We just push them out there or start something and then other people do it. So,
oh my God, yes, my
forever
best friend,
changing.
I love this because sidebar, we just need to say this real quick. My best friend, this point I was talking about earlier. I don't know if I talked about her actually. Either way, she is in school right now to like get her master's in counseling. And I've like shown her like so many of these tools that I've learned along the way, and she like uses them with her clients. And literally not even like 20 minutes ago, she just texted me saying, what is that like exercise you used with me the other day? Because so this woman named Jackie Johnstone, who's also in the human design community, she was like did this like timeline exercise with me because my anxiety was really bad one day. I was going to get like the COVID vaccine and I was just kind of like overwhelmed. I was like, there's too many things in my head now are like overwhelming me and I can't exist. So she did this exercise with me and I did it with my friend, and she does it with her clients now. And it's like so fun to just like see how like I learned something and I share it, and then it like trickles into like everyone knowing it. I'm like, wait, this is so fun. Like, what more can I learn that I can also have people using?
Yeah.
My third line is then becomes addicted to playing with all these things. So like that's the healthy balance of I learn the thing and then I try the thing and then I move on to a new thing, not getting stuck in the, but do I know enough to share this thing or no? Like, how are we feeling?
And like, that's a little bit of that conditioning, isn't it? Where you do learn something and you kind of want to hold it and go, no, I need this for me. I need this for me. I can't, nope. And then all of a sudden, if you just continually release these things, more abundance, it just literally flows through us. And it's just like, we're not supposed to hold on to specific things.
No,
we're supposed to let it, we're a glass, it just flows in and out. And it's like, allow other people to do what they're supposed to be. It's a big, the big thing for us reflectors. I think it's very difficult at times to, again, we've spoken about to do the, to not be the doers, to be the beers. It's very hard. It's very hard with a lot of conditioning to just sit back and go, but I want that for me. And it's like, you need to release it. You need to let the community do what they need to do. Let that person do that because that's what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
Yup. It's so hard to be like, but are we sure? Like, are we sure we can't just do like a little bit, like a little help? Because I think we're literally here to observe and like sometimes obviously give our observations. That's like literally the whole point. But like sometimes it's like you clearly need to not interfere. You need to just let that person like do the thing. And it's like so hard because you're like, I know how they can just get through this quicker. But it's like, maybe it's not supposed to be quick. Maybe your experience is supposed to be a little bit longer. Like, and it's so exciting when you like release the need to fix the thing and be like, whoa, like they did it. Like they got there. Like they did the thing. Like they didn't actually need me. And it's so exciting. It's like a bitty bird flying from the nest. It's like, oh, they fell once, but then they soared. It's so cute.
I love that. Butterfly. Off they go.
Exactly. A butterfly. That's better.
Thank you so much, Simone, for being here with us. I really appreciate everything that you've contributed to this group.
Thank you so much.
How can we reach you? Obviously the Aura Bender, but also can you just plug your socials? Like where, Simone?
Yeah. So I have like, so I'm trying to navigate which Instagram to use, honestly. So I have like my business, the Aura Breather. That's literally what it's called. That Instagram. And then I also have like Simone Gallagher, which is just my name. I'm sure we could type that somewhere. Which is the one I use more, because it's where most people like found me. And I'm trying to navigate if I just change that one to the Aura Breather. But for now, I have both. So you can connect me either way. And then email, same thing, the Aura Breather at Gmail, or even Simone at theotherbreather.com. Literally anything with that title, I'm sure you can find me. Like, whatever works.
I love it. Oh, thank you so much, beautiful self, for being with us. And we will talk to you again soon.